Hello, all you roller coaster enthusiasts. I am King Link, and this is a last look and review of Planet Coaster. If you like what you're seeing, consider subscribing to my channel. I have regular releases about every 3 days of new reviews, as well as first looks. So, welcome to my theme park. This is going to be King Link's World. I'm actually showing you a challenge mode that I've worked on a bit. In all honesty, I'm just going to ride some rides in the background. If you want to see some cool coasters, keep the video on screen. However, there's a game attached to these coasters. It's called Planet Coasters, and we're going to discuss that as well. It's a pretty interesting game. It's actually a callback to the classic Roller Coaster Tycoons, and I have to be honest, this is a great return to this style. Unlike that other game with a license in the name, it didn't have the best reputation. In addition, the team who actually worked on this is Frontier Developments, who made Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, so they have a lineage and a connection to the original game. That's why I'm bringing it up more than anything. Planet Coaster really has three modes: Career, Challenge, and Sandbox. There is Scenario Editor, and I'm not going to talk about that much, but we are playing Challenge mode because I have a ton of coasters in it, but all three modes are solid choices for different experiences. Sandbox is great if you just want to make coasters and not care about money or any challenge. Challenge is great if you want a little more structure, but more freedom to do as you want. And Career, of course, has a focus on medals and achievements, and usually limits you quite a bit, but gives you different tactics to achieve. There's really three types of rides as well in Planet Coaster, and I want to quickly talk about them for a purpose. Now, there's rides like your carnival ride that you see at a fair, or the track rides, which are like coasters, but they're a little slower, not as adventurous. Think of more of a go-kart or a flume ride rather than a coaster. And then, of course, the coasters themselves. Each of these can be placed in the park, and you can make your best judgment on what to include in your park. The reason why I'm bringing them up, though, is that, well, Planet Coaster allows you to place any ride or any of those rides in the parks. There's definitely tiers. Coasters, of course, are the top tier. They're in the name, and there's going to be the big dogs. Then there's a small drop of value for the track rides. Like, it's understandable, they're not as adventurous, but they still make good money. You can sometimes make almost as much. And then the rides, quote unquote, are relegated to the back of the line. They won't make much money, and it almost feels like a waste when I place them. They fill up a small amount of room, but really, Planet Coaster wants you to do coasters. Like I said, it's in the name, it's understandable, but I got frustrated once trying to make a ride-only park work well. I placed 5 rides on this level, and I wasn't able to make that much money on it. However, when I switched to coaster, I was making fist over fistfuls of money. I was unable to stop. Now, it's possible part of the reason for this is that Planet Coaster has issues with the money. I won't call it broken, but the game feels like it wants you to micromanage your park and constantly be tweaking how much each ride costs. And as an experience, that's not a lot of fun, to be honest. I'd rather build rides and let the game itself manage the tickets. There's also the ability to build food stands, bathrooms, ATMs, and other doodads of a park. And while that's not the fun, sexy part of the game, it works and it's fast. You can actually create your own shops, design scenery around them to give them flair and save out a blueprint, or build a pre-designed blueprint or a blueprint you've created earlier, or just place ugly random kiosks. Any of these work, the guests at your park don't care, but personally, I plop a few kiosks down and call it a day unless I'm flush with money. Like I said, the guests aren't really interested in what it looks like, but the only thing they'll care about is if it's smelly or clean, at least in the bathroom case. And of course, to fix that, you have staff that you can hire. You have janitors, mechanics, security guards, extra vendors if you need them, and entertainers to keep people happy. With all that, there's a few concerns with the hiring of people, and I go into that a bit more with the written review, but you're probably here for the coasters, and let me focus on that for now. That's the thing, Planet Coaster is about the coaster, and it's really good when it focuses on that. The fact is, the editor for the coaster is amazing. The first 2 coasters we went on were created by me, and yeah, they kind of suck, but they're my first 2. And because they're my first coasters, I have a fondness for them, and I'm proud of the simplicity of them. They didn't take long to create, and while yeah, they're not the best, they were constrained by the location that I was in when building them, and the cost while I was building them. I still think they're fun rides. They're simple, but they work. The thing is, if you want more complex coasters, you certainly can. If you want to make certain dives and motions, the game definitely provides those tools for you. You can change the lengths of the track as you draw it, the number of cars, even what's around your coaster. My coasters are a bit sparse here, but if you want to make more of an attraction or a theme ride, you're welcome to it, and the game fully supports that. At the same time, if you want a coaster that gets pulled up by a chain, does a loop and a helix, and ends, the game supports that too, and has a number of pre-built maneuvers for the track. It also has a number of different types of coasters as well. There's actually a good firm connection to Steam Workshop, so you can go and look at other people's coasters and pull from there if you really want. The fact the game supports that is great. Enjoy other people's creations, load them in, and experience something new. There's a lot of choices out there, as well as people making authentic rides from Six Flags, Magic Mountain, and even Disneyland rides for you to enjoy. And it's really awesome to see someone having that much passion to go and recreate them and being able to do it in the game. So, those are great experiences. I actually saw also a Twisted Sister ride, and that's really cool, but there's so many choices on the workshop. There's over 10,000 in each category. It's overwhelming, but you can find something interesting for yourself. Now, with all this said, this is how you make a park. Career mode builds off of all of this, and it adds in simple goals. And there's a good variety of targets. You know, make a certain coaster, make a certain amount of money, and so on. But the problem is the targets are a bit of a mixed bag. There's nothing too bad, but there's a lot of career goals that are easy to cheat. I have a stack of 100 plants, as you can see, that I use to juice up my scenery score. If I drop those plants in, I get a scenery boost and a park boost. Even though it looks like crap, the game doesn't care. The scenery score only is necessary on the queue lines and the overall park value. Once you're on a ride, there's no improvement for the scenery around the ride, though there is an improvement for the scenery around the queue line. And it's a shame, because that's what really is interesting in a amusement park. I love to see an automated system created that generates terrain and scenery around my rides, if they ever do a Planet Coaster 2, to make it look cooler. It would be similar to the Little Big Planet racing auto generation. But that's not here. And actually, it makes it so that if you use animatronics on your ride, it won't make the ride worth more, but it actually makes it cost more money to operate, because each triggering of animatronics costs money. Now, in addition, you can cheat a lot of career challenges, either by placing a large expensive object to get the credit for it and then undoing it and gain the full value back, or just using something like the stack of scenery objects to get a certain value another way. These aren't big problems, but in career mode I often feel like I'm looking for the cheapest way to satisfy a requirement rather than making a really fun park. Still, I stand by playing career mode. When it's working, it's really good, and I love entering a new park and seeing a run-down amusement park that I have to revive. The thing is, not everything here is great, though. You do have a lot of choice, and if you want to go and build coasters, go for it. But, like I mentioned, the financials aren't great. You constantly feel like you have to micromanage your rides, your shops, and everything else. And if you use the default value that they suggest, you're going to be losing a lot of money. If you take nothing else, remember that. It's a big problem here, and I just hate dealing with the monetary side of things, as I don't feel the game gives the best way to tweak it, and it's just not fun. Part of that is due to the UI. The UI is good until you need something that's not in an obvious place or doesn't exist, like a way to tweak all the ride's costs at once, and then the UI turns kind of bad. You know, the information on the employees are also a little bit weak, and it's a good example of the problem. You can find out who's happy and who's not, but there's not an easy way to pay employees more or less other than promoting them on that screen. Again, you're tweaking a monetary value and you have to click each employee one at a time to fix them, and it's just not that fun. You know, ride maintenance as well is fine until it's not. I had a few rides that never stayed operable. Both were go-karts and I couldn't keep them up. When a ride breaks down, and I think there is one that breaks down in this video, everyone who paid for the ride leaves the queue and gets a refund. But that means a broken ride could mean that you lose about $4,000 at a time. And if it's the end of the month, that means your balance books are going to be off for that month and the next. The good news is this is a great way to make a ton of money at once. You could close all your rides, wait for the rollover, and open all the rides, but it doesn't actually mean you're profitable. It's just gaming the system. There's also some waiting involved in this game, of course. Yeah, it's a sim, but I don't like sitting around waiting for my money to roll in. That's kind of boring. So finally, let's talk about what you've already been seeing. Riding rides as well as building the coasters are great. Even without great scenery around it, I'm really enjoying taking you on these rides. And the fact is, that's what Planet Coaster is about. If you really want to make and ride roller coasters, Planet Coaster has exactly what you want. If you want to make amusement parks, Planet Coaster is still great. However, if you don't like Sims and don't like amusement parks or don't like coasters, this probably isn't for you. You might want to go grab something else. You know, Mega Man X Legacy and Yakuza is now out. Check those out instead. I'll be reviewing them shortly as well. Ultimately, I give Planet Coaster a 3.5 out of 5. Yeah, that's a decent score, mind you. It's really only brought down by the financial parts of the game. If those were automated a bit more and left the player to focus on building the parks, I know I'd have a better time with the game. The game would be a bit easier, but I want to have fun and not worry about the right price for a corn dog, or similar. With that said, Planet Coaster gets the thumbs up. I'm King Link and I've already mentioned subscribing. So, I've had a great time at the amusement park, but I guess we have to get back to reality. The best way to do that is get involved with civil servants. Yeah. The next last look is going to be at This Is the Police. Though, I have a feeling we're going to be dropping a couple quick looks next week before that comes out. So, until then, I'm out of here.